Dog vertigo. Some teeth down there, some hair and gray gums. Some grass and dirt down there, some gristle and whimpers. All stupid grinning death, running around the yard, making a little child cry from each busted grass blade. I had a dog. I had 3 dogs. I sit and stay. They did not disappear into the trees one day. Their brains were not broken coral on the street. They were meat. Some leash down there, some shit and tennis balls. I had a dog. I had 3 dogs. I sit and beg. Their brains were not broken coral on the street. They were not meat. One day they did not disappear into the trees, all stupid green death, running around the yard, making a little child cry from each busted grass blade. Some whimpers down there, some nipples and pink tum-tums. Some biting tails and long nails down there, some sunlight, some fleas dug up, some mange and gray tongues. I had a dog, they were meat. I had 3 dogs. They did not disappear into the streets. They did not tree. Some haunch skid and drag down there, some mouths one day. They did not smell like baby's breath, all stupid grinning death, running around the yard, making a little child cry from each busted grass blade. Some grass and dirt down there, some teeth and ruined carpets. I had a dog. I had 3 dogs. I fucked fleas, all stupid grinning death, running around the yard, making a little child cry from each busted grass blade. Some eyelashes down there, some eating grass and mange, some baby's breath. One day their brains were not broken coral on the street. They did not disappear into the trees. Some sit and stay down there, some meat and sunlight. Their brains were not broken coral on the street. They did not disappear into the trees. They did not fuck fleas, all stupid grinning death, running around the yard, making a little child cry from each busted grass blade. Some bones and baby's breath down there, some bark and seizures. Distant, watery eyes. One day I had a dog. I had 3 dogs. That's a poem about some dogs. that I had growing up. My dogs. I'll read a couple poems about, I was talking to some poets earlier today here and just was thinking about, we're talking about like where poems come from, where they can come from, do come from, etc. And sometimes, for me anyway, they can come from other art, other places, other people, other artists, other writers. And so I thought I'd just read you a couple of poems like that, that sort of come from the starting point in something someone else did. This poem is called Barnett. Yeah, please. Is that good? Thank you. This poem is called Barnett Newman, Blackfire 1. Barnett Newman is an American painter. Blackfire 1 is a painting of his, which you can see if you drive to Philadelphia, which is very close to here. They have this painting at their museum, which is a great museum. Barnett, is this good? No, is it? Yeah, okay. Barnett Newman, Blackfire 1. What I want more than anything is to get down on paper what all the shining looks like. All black, all the time. Black petals, black leaves, black pulse. I like to sit in the corner and watch the light disappear with both my eyes. God doesn't have any eyes. Hurricanes, cottonmouths, lakes. The list goes on and on. Shit, gnats, and sunlight, but no eyes. The shivering through the maple leaves is something I can't stop talking about. I used to ride a slick black tricycle beneath the trees, but now I just walk. Or lie down and stare up at nothing. Or lie down and stare up at nothing. The underside of the leaves covered in ants. My nightlight. The black pedals on my black tricycle look like wings. I put my feet on the wings and fly around the yard, avoiding dogs and worms. The stars are in the ground with my grandfather, smoking cigars and shining their asses off. Grandpa has to hunch over to fit under there, beneath the street lights and maple leaves, beneath the stars, worms. The light comes up through his teeth and the black grass. This poem is called From the Lives of My Friends. The title is some people say borrowed, but it's just stealing. It's stolen from, can I just borrow this? Like, if someone says that to you, whatever that should, you're never getting it back. Can I borrow this cookie? The great Russian playwright and short story writer Anton Chekhov had plans. He had written notes for he was going to write a novel called Stories from the Lives of My Friends. That's some information. And then the only other thing to know is that, you don't even have to know it, but I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and so I find it interesting that when Chekhov died, his body was, to get back to Moscow, was put into a refrigerated car that said fresh oysters. And for me, I thought, that's good. Like, that's the way to go. Like, I would just add like an IPA, it would be great. But this is sort of, thanks to him. From the Lives of My Friends. What are the birds called in that neighborhood? The dogs. There were dogs flying from branch to branch. My friends and I climbed up the telephone poles to sit on the power lines dressed like crows. Their voices sounded like lemons. They were a smooth sheet. They grew black feathers. Not frightening at all, but beautiful, shiny, and full of promise. What kind of light is that? The lives of my friends spent all of their time dying and coming back and dying and coming back. They take a break in summer to mow the piss-yellow lawns, blazing front and back. There's no break in winter. I fell in love with the sisters of my friends, all that yellow hair, their arms blazing. They lick their fingers to wipe my face clean of everything. And I am glad, I am glad, I am so glad. We will all be shipped away in an icebox with the one word, oysters, painted on the outside. Left alone for once. None of my friends wrote novels or plays. From the lives of my friends came their lives. Here's what we did. We played in the yard outside after dinner, and then we were shipped away. That was fast. Stuffed with lemons. This poem is about, well, it's not really about her, but it comes from, I took a tour of Emily Dickinson's house in Amherst. Has anyone ever done that? I went there, that's where her house is, that's where she lived, and I went there and I was the only person in the tour. And I told the woman who was giving the tour, I said, you don't have to give the tour, I'll just take a peek and then I'll leave, it's fine. But she said, no, you have to take the tour. So I walked around the house with her, but she gave the tour as if I was 10 people. And she would be like, and if you follow me this way. And then at the end of the tour, we sat across from each other, actually closer than I am to Jess, right? It was me sitting here, and then Jess is the tour guide. And together give an example of the kind of things that were popular writing of the day compared to her poems, which are so strange and difficult. She, the tour guide, sang "Onward Christian Soldiers," like the whole song. And then there'd be a break, and I'd be like, "Oh," I'd get up, and then she'd like start into another verse. And then my friend Ben told me that that we should just stop apologizing about poems. But I'll just say, I'm not apologizing, but I'll just say that I had a youthful male reaction to being in the house, which will quickly move past. Emily Dickinson to the rescue. Standing in her house today, all I could think of was whether she took a shit every morning, or ever fucked anybody, or ever fucked herself. God's poet, singing herself to sleep. You want these sorts of things for people. Bodies and the earth inside, instead of white nightgowns and terrifying letters. Here she comes, her hands out in front of her like a child flying above its bed. Her ankles and wrists held tightly between the fingers of a brightly lit parent home from a party. Flying. Her spine flying, singing, "Here I come." Her legs pumping her heart out. Heaven is everywhere, but there's still the world. The world is cancer, house fires, and brain death here in America. But I love the world. Emily Dickinson to the rescue. I used to think we were bred, gentle work, and water. We're not, but we're still beautiful, killing each other as much as we can beneath the pines. The pines that are somebody's masterpiece. I'll read a couple poems. This book flies, sort of like ended up being kind of made around a group of elegies that I had written for my older brother. I have very boring dreams. I was talking to some poets about part of this earlier. But like, my dreams are like, what did I dream about last night? Like, dreams are like, I'm at a bookstore in the poetry section. And I'm like looking at books and I'm like, I wonder if I should buy this. And like, that's the end of the dream. Or like, I often have these dreams that are like about food, where I'm like, in the dream I wake up and I think, oh, are we out of eggs? And I like go into the kitchen, I look in the fridge and there are some eggs. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. It's like, and that's it, you know. My example of the kind of dream that I want to have, my friend Mike called me up one day, this was years ago, and he said, I had a crazy dream. I said, what was it? He said, I had a dream that I fucked a dragon. And I was like quietly weeping. I was like, I would love to fuck a dragon. I would love to have a dream like that, but my dreams are so, they're so boring. When my older brother committed suicide for about a month, I had the most intense dreams about flies. Like I was telling these folks earlier, it was like some of the dreams, it was every night. And some of the dreams were like, just like small flies, like regular flies. And then some of the dreams were like flies, like our size, who would like wake me up in the dream and like put on my clothes and stuff like that. And these dreams happened for a while, and then the sort of residue of them just stayed with me, and so I ended up writing some of them down. And I'll read just a couple of those to you now. This one's called False Start. At the end of one of the billion light years of loneliness, my mother sits on the floor of her new kitchen, carefully feeding the flies from her fingertips. All the lights in the house are on, so it must be summer. Wings the color of her nail polish. I like to sit on the floor next to her and tell her what a good job she's doing. You're doing such a good job, Mom. She's very patient with the ones who refuse to swallow. She hums a little song and shoves the food in. They still have all their wings. It takes a long time because no one is hungry. At the end of one of the billion light years of loneliness, my father trains the flies to walk from one end of his fingers to the other, one fly for every finger. It's going to make him rich. Their brain's the color of his brain. All the nerves in your hands getting stepped on at once is very calming, like being a pine tree. Next, he's going to train them to walk across his eyelids, how to hide in the holes in his teeth. When he sings, and he never sings, we will see wings and brains. At the end of one of the billion light years of loneliness, I stuffed my mom and dad into a little red wagon and dragged them out into the ocean. Waves the color of their eyelids, beach glass. I swim alongside and tell them how good they look, washed in salt. They haven't seen each other in a very long time, so I wait a while before hauling them back, hauling them out of the underworld, the overworld, dragging them out of their mansions of snow. At the end of one of the billion light years of loneliness, my brother swims out into the ocean with his daughter, holding hands and talking quietly. Flies drop into the water. His daughter was a fly for a while, small and black and gleaming in the palm of his hand. He blew on her gently and she woke up. Some miracle. He swam out across the waves, swinging her, screaming above his head, and looked just like a father. The new daughter, her new father. At the end of one of the billion light years of loneliness, my brother and I set sail in a red boat. He is almost old and tired, so I do most of the rowing. The gods in their mansions are boarding up the windows. Time to move to a different neighborhood. We hold hands in the middle of the ocean and look just like a painting. His paint has just now started to chip away. He needs to be restored. Carefully now, my brother. And this is called The New Green. To wake up every morning in the pines in your bedroom and have to shake off the green night lights is a blessing. I want to burn down the forest that's been growing all night in my brain. I left a note in my brain in red Sharpie. It says, "Don't forget the matches." Embers go flying up to the top branches. The house gets brighter and brighter. Then I call down the hallway to my dead brother. Then more lights. In my home, in my brain, I'm at home. The pine trees are beautiful and made of green needles. The pine trees are beautiful and made of green needles. I went to sleep, and when I woke up, I was covered in pitch. Nothing really happens to you when you're dreaming. Everyone alive is alive. Everyone dead is again. Through the new green, they come back. They can't come back, but they come back. The lights inside the pines are my pillow. I strike the matches on my teeth and light the needles. I strike the matches, I keep being alive. I didn't know that it would get easier, but it does. The rain softly through the last of the branches is your voice. The lights are my pillow. My brother is my mattress. My mother turns off the trees and tucks us in. And this last elegy is called Killing Flies. It's on a dream. I sit down for dinner with my brother again. This is the last dream I ever want to have. Passing the forks around the table, passing the knives. One thing I want to know is who's in the kitchen right now, if it isn't me. It isn't me. The kitchen is full of flies. Flies are doing all the work. They light on the edge of the roasted chicken, the bone china. That's what they do. Light. I will look more and more like him until I'm older than he is. Then he'll look more like me if I was lost. The flies need to be killed as soon as we're done eating this delicious meal they make. They serve us anything we want in toxic tuxedos and shit wings. My brother and I wipe our mouths, scrape our chairs back from the table, and stand up. These are the last things we'll do together. Eat dinner. Kill flies. You have to lie down next to the bodies, shining all in a row like black sequins, stitching up the kitchen floor. It's hard to do, but you have to do it. Quietly lie down and not sleep. We don't sleep. My brother and I work hard all night, sticking their eyes onto our earlobes and wrists like Egyptian jewelry. He is my emergency exit. I am his dinner date. I'd now like to read 2 full-length plays to you. I have a twin brother who's a poet, also to the great disappointment of our mother. And do you know what I mean? 2 poets, like a poet and a lawyer. Good, brain surgeon. And I wonder, I just have, could I have 2 volunteers, students? 1, 2. Okay, come on up. If you had your hands up in the back, I have really bad eyesight, and so you don't get to go. These are these are plays from a book of plays that my brother Matthew and I wrote. The book's called 50 American Plays, and we wrote 1 play for every state. And then, just because we're more inclusive than some people running for president right now, we included Puerto Rico and Guam as well. I mean, come on. And but we'll just read 2. We'll read Colorado and Idaho. So you, what's your name? Kathleen. You say Kathleen? Kathleen. This is Kathleen and? Kevin. Kathleen and Kevin, they are our actors. I will read title. Here, you guys come over here. I'll read titles and stage directions. This first play is called Colorado is a Sportsman's Paradise. It is a hiker, which will be you, and then a mountain are the 2 characters. Okay. You guys see this? Colorado is a sportsman's paradise. Many mountains.
Could you move that a little to the left?
Things are happening.
Fewer mountains. Okay, that's 1. Did you say it didn't take so long? That'd be also a good name for, like, I was talking earlier about a memoir. That didn't take so long. I remember reading. Do you guys mind standing up here for a second? Sure. Come over here. One on either side of me. Over here. Can you hear it? I remember one. I was reading an interview with Edward Albee, and the interviewer said, how long, like what is the length of a full-length play? And Albie said, the length of a full-length play is the time it takes between the curtain rising and the curtain falling. And I thought, let's write some